Good morning, YouTube. So today is February 28th. This is pretty much the last of the orders. This was from the huge boost sale. This is all of it. Basically, we should be closing in the next 10 days on the house. As of right now, if we get everything else we need, which hopefully we'll have by Thursday, we'll be closing by next Friday. So, I don't know how videos are going to be the next week or so. If they're going to be daily, I'm going to try and crank them out daily, but we've got a lot of packing to do. Try and record as much of the fish tank stuff as I can, obviously. So like me breaking down different tanks and all that, I'll definitely be trying to record, but I'm not going to really have much time to work on the tanks kind of, or do any videos really, because I gotta start packing the rest of the house with Margaret. So yeah, it's gonna definitely be a lot. Let me throw these guys in there. We have to start packing a bunch of things. Shut up, car. I got the two tanks that I need to move first. Those are pretty much not completely empty. There's a couple plants left in them, but so those plants, I'm debating on if I want to completely drain the tanks now and have them ready to go, or wait until we're able to move, drain them that day, just leave the plants in there that I want to keep, and then move them with those tanks and set that back up. My only problem that I run into is when I want to transfer all the other plants over there, that's going to be a problem because I'm not going to have enough room for everything. So I guess I'm going to have to stick them in the 55. I really don't want to do that because when I stick them in the 55, they're probably going to melt a little bit, and I don't want to lose these species because they've already transitioned enough, and like I actually got a good amount growing, so if I stick them in the new tank and they start to melt more, or melt at all, and I lose some of it, it's gonna suck because then it's like almost starting from scratch again. Like I'll still have some, I won't lose it completely, I'm pretty sure, but it's just one of those, like, it's gotta transition and then start growing, and then it's gonna be moved in a week anyway, pretty much. So it's gonna transition and then it's gonna have to transition again. So it's a pain, but what's up, guys? So just left work. Want to quickly show you all of this. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. So this is I guess a grow tank design that I have for the new house. My idea is I want to do two 40-gallon breeders stacked on top of each other and make that one 80-gallon closed loop system. So each individual setup will be isolated outside of the rest of the fish room. I don't want to run canister filters. I want the aquarium to be its own filter. And I really don't even need to worry about filtering it all that much because there's no fish in it. It's all plants. So outside of just maintaining the debris, I don't have to worry about a filter. So what I'm trying to do is I want to make it so basically the top tank is a grow out / holding tank for plants that I get in. So like my main issue right now is with all the tanks that I have is some of them have moss and floating plants in them, and that is significantly hurting the growth of plants because it's restricting the amount of light that they can get. So this will hurt the plants growing as fast as I need them to be. So in the new place, efficiency is going to be king, and I need to be as efficient as possible when it comes to growing, maintaining, and just everything else to the whole process of this. So what I want to do is the top tank's going to be for grow out because that's easy for me to harvest plants that are at eye level or slightly below eye level or maybe slightly above eye level, right? And then the bottom tank will be only for one moss. So each So I was cut off due to a phone call. Sorry, dealing with buying this house is a nightmare. There's a whole bunch of other issues going on, but I'll touch on that in a future video. But where was I? So the water change system is gonna, I want it to be automated water change system. I want it to be in the whole cycle closed. So the top tank will be for stems, the bottom tank will be for moss and floating plants. One floating plant per tank and one moss per tank. So that way I don't mix them up. I know what's what. It's easier for me to grow it out that way. And then the top tank will be for whatever else I'm doing. This will help me do a couple of different things. This will help me keep moss contained, floating plants contained, and the overflow will be nice because every week I have plants that are you know, lost leaves or something like that. There's just constant detritus buildup from just decaying plant matter and everything else, because there's, you know, I'm getting plants in, plants are growing rapidly fast, leaves are being lost, whatever the case is, there's a bunch of just stuff floating around, and that'll float up to the top of the tank, or it'll get sucked into my canister filter in intake right now, and it pretty much just sits there on the grill that it has. The problem with that is, one, I don't really sit there and suction out everything with the Python, and nor am I once we're in the new house. So I want to be able to remove that debris automatically. So the way that I think to do that would be put an overflow. So basically anything that floats will get shut down the tube into the bottom tank, and that'll be siphoned, or that will be strained out by a micron sock. And the micron sock will essentially just eliminate all the tiny particles to begin with. So it'll be once a week you check the bag will have whatever plant matter in it, you empty the bag, you rinse it out, put it back, and boom, or the micron sock, whatever it's called. And that'll help keep the water crystal clear, free from any kind of free floating algae and all that. The bottom tank will house the heater, and the heater will be oversized to handle 80 gallons. So it'll handle the two 40-gallon tanks back to back, which will work just fine. The top, so the bottom tank will have a submersible pump that'll pump the water out through my CO2 reactor that's going to be on the outside of the tank. So that'll get pumped through that, the CO2 will get dissolved and then pumped back into the top, and that CO2 will then flow through the top aquarium, out through the bottom aquarium, and so on and so forth. And then I want to somehow tie in an auto water change system. So basically there will be a float valve. I don't know where it would have to go, either on the top or the bottom, but it would have to go either on the top or the bottom tank. And the overflow to the tank will be split or teed, from what I'm thinking. I'm not a plumber, so I might be doing this completely wrong. So that bottom, or the outflow to the bottom tank will have a electric solenoid that switches a ball valve, essentially, or some sort of valve that will allow the water that's overflowing to go out the secondary output, right? So the one would close, the other one will open, and that'll allow the outflow to go. So as the water is being pumped up from the bottom tank to the top tank will, you know, be reaching the overflow point. It'll overflow out through the aquarium into a pipe that will lead out. I don't know exactly how I'm going to tie it into my main drainage, or if I'm just going to have everything piped into a jug, like a big 55-gallon jug, and then have it pumped from there out to out to my sink or something like that. I haven't quite figured that out, or wherever it might go. So that'll happen. So basically the water will pump from the bottom tank, and it'll pump up, and once the bottom tank is 50% done, I would guess, right? Maybe 50% or 20, nah, like 40%, let's just say 40%. 40% on a 40-gallon tank would be, no, it would be 50%. Yeah, so 50%. So if I put the plunger or the float on the bottom tank at 20%, would that work? So the pump would have to shut off at a certain level at the bottom tank, right? So when it's 50%, that'll shut off. That doesn't make sense. The top tank would drain. There's gonna be a lot of like figuring this stuff out because I've never done a fish room. This is gonna be a huge learning curve. So it's begun. This tank is getting broken down. Same thing with that tank. So what am I doing? So one, I'm taking all the plants out of this tank that are left, like the Doors Hammer Java Fern and the Bulbitis that's been transitioning forever. You can see here, I'm gonna grab a piece, that it's finally got new babies coming up off the leaves, and that's basically how it's gonna transition. Oh, another piece of narrow-leaf Java Fern. So basically that Bulbitis has been in here, I think roughly almost 2 months, maybe longer, transitioning, and I'm allowing it to get those babies coming up, and now I just stirred all that up, but whatever. So those are gonna have babies coming off the leaves, and I wanna save them. And let me just put that in with the rest of that. That's all narrow leaf Java Fern that I wanna save because that's rare as well. It's not like super rare, like of course you can get it, but as far as a nursery goes, they don't have that kind of stuff. They don't have a Doors Hammer or the narrow leaf Java Fern in stock usually, until I find a better nursery, or nursery with more stock. So then we have here this tank. This tank is got a couple moss ledges here, right? So this is supposedly this is SUBSTRATE or Pelia. This is either Weeping or Christmas moss, which I don't think it is. I think it's Java moss. I was told that it isn't, but I'm pretty sure it is. Same thing with that. That's some more Pelia. That's actually water wisteria there floating. And all these stem plants here. These are just basically low-tech stem plants like Anacris, Bacopa, water wisteria, hygrophilias, and some what is it? Some mirror. Anyway, so yeah, so that's a couple stem plants there. Those need to get moved all into the 55. So I'm taking all those plants and moving them into here. I already started actually. This was some 4-leaf clover that I had in one of those tanks that I was letting grow out, so I moved that. And then that's some pygmy chainsword there, and that's broadleaf pygmy chainsword, which is actually kind of difficult to find normally. So I was able to acquire it. I gotta let it grow out some more because I sold pretty much all the extras that I had. I kept like 5 for myself, and so I have to wait for it to propagate and make some more. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of room, as you can see. This area is just full of moss, and right here, and there's just this little open area here, and a little bit in the back of there. So what I'm gonna do is I have all these floating plants up here. These are all, I'm gonna have to try and sell these like ASAP now to get them out of the tank, because I need light to be able to get in this corner here, because this is where I'm gonna put all the stem plants. The jungle val that I have here that's been transitioning for a while. Is that my auto? What the hell is he doing? The auto synchronous is right there. I don't know what he's doing though. He looks like he's stuck. I'll have to check on him. Anyway, so yeah, so I have jungle val here. That jungle val I'm just gonna move gently into the corner. Move all the floating plants up here that are at the top here. Move them out of this, and put all the stem plants in here. And then the Bulbitis. The Bulbitis can probably go like in the front corner over there, and then the Java Ferns, the rare Java Ferns that I have, those are going to be attached to these right here, these stainless steel ledges. Those are going to go in the corners of this side, in the back, and probably in the front, just so that way it can I can keep them alive in the meantime. They're gonna melt though. That's the thing with Java Ferns. They're gonna melt the second that they have different water parameters. So I'm probably gonna lose the majority of it. But even if just a couple survive, that's fine by me. I'll let it grow out. I mean, this has been growing for quite a while, and I still don't even have enough to sell. So that's the trick with Java Fern. I gotta find somebody that actually grows it nicely and has a bunch of it. But that's tough to do. So I planted all those plants. The Anacris is there, green Kambamba there. So they're all going to go down there. But these tanks are completely empty of plants. Now I'm just gonna start draining it, and yeah, it's sad to see that they're empty, but it's gonna be for bigger and better things. And you could now see how dirty this is. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Maybe I'll time lapse me doing some stuff on or draining these tanks. What's up, Instagram? Sad day today. 2 tanks officially done with until we're ready to move, and then these will be set up first to move all those plants into them until I can move those. And this tank got all the plants, although you can't really see it because of the reflection, but there's high-grow willow, there's some anacris over here, some stainless steel mesh. I'm not turning on the light, it's late, but yeah, bulbitis there. Anyway, this tank should do nice now that it has 2 lights on it. Hopefully I'll get that Ludwigia white right there, growing much nicer. And a couple other things that's quite rare. Maybe 50% or 20, nah, like 40%, let's just say 40%. 40% on a 40-gallon tank would be, no, it would be 50%, yeah, so 50%. So if I put the plunger or the float on the bottom tank, 20%